Good morning you guys, it's Karen and I'm here to tell you about my consultation for blepharoplasty. So blepharoplasty is upper eyelid surgery and is to take away the excess skin that I have from having hooded eyes due to age. I have hooded eyes, I have slightly hooded eyes anyway, genetically, but I have mostly got hooded eyes from the passage of time, and so that means that all this skin here has lost its elasticity and has become very, very loose, to the point where you may not notice it a lot in videos because I am animated and my eyes are, you know, raised, my eyebrows are raised, but when I am resting and when I'm trying to take photos, particularly if you see when I rest my eyes, the skin covers a lot of my mobile lid and it now touches my eyelashes. And so it's something that I am conscious of. It's not something that, I wouldn't say it's something that depresses me or anything like that, but it's one of those things that always excited me, the thought of having it corrected. Let's say that. Yeah, that's, I think, the best way of describing it. I've always thought, oh, imagine if I could ever have, you know, that bit of loose skin taken away. It would be wonderful, because for me, I only discovered eyeshadow in my 40s. So in fact, I was 40, 41, 42. When I started YouTube, I started watching YouTube videos and I started learning how to do eyeshadow. Up until 40, I really never used eyeshadow. I didn't know how to use it. I didn't know what to do with it. And so it's a new discovery to me. It still feels new. It still feels exciting. And a lot of eyeshadows, firstly, the shimmery eyeshadows, of course, bring attention to the loose, crinkly skin. And I'm often told that I should be wearing matte eyeshadows, but what I love are the shimmery, shiny shadows. I don't love matte eyeshadows. That's not my preference. That's not what excites me. But also, a lot of the time, especially if I'm trying to take a photo, you can't see the colour that's on my mobile lid. So that's my reasons for wanting it done anyway. So I had a consultation in the past, and that was with Transform, and they had talked about doing it under general anaesthetic. I wouldn't have been able to have it done near where I live at all. I would have had to go to Stirling to have it done, and this time I'm able to go to Edinburgh and have it done, and it won't be under general anaesthetic. So I'm absolutely delighted about that, because the questions that I went into my consultation with yesterday were, will it be under general anaesthetic, and will I wake up being unable to see? Because those were the two things that may have swayed me not to have it done, because, you know, the risks of general anaesthetic are high anyway, but for myself and my family's heart disease, and I've got high blood pressure and high cholesterol and all of that, yeah, it wasn't something I was looking forward to risking, or even sure I was going to risk. So the consultation itself cost £150 because it's Bupa that I went through, Bupa Hospital. It was lovely. It was a lovely guy. Talked me through the whole process, showed me pictures of before and after for the blepharoplasty clients that he'd had before, showed me all sorts of other procedures that he'd done. He does a lot of oncology work, a lot of oncology, plastic surgery, reconstructive type surgery. I have never come across the gentleman when I worked in Edinburgh. You guys may know I worked in Edinburgh hospitals for many, many years in medical research, but we did talk about, you know, mutual acquaintances in the areas that we knew. And he was lovely. He definitely made me feel at ease, and I was a bit unsure about paying for a consultation, but my husband felt that that was a good thing, and I can't remember what his reasons were now. So the biggest question I imagine you'll have is, how much does it cost? And the cost for upper blepharoplasty only is £2,900. So that is all inclusive, except for that £150 that I've already paid. So the total will be £3,050. That includes a day visit and everything that happens in that. Well, it's not even a day visit, it's about a half a day visit. So £2,900. So that's the price. The way that he does it is, like I said, under local anaesthetic, not even with sedation. So he just puts local anaesthetic around this area, and then draws the area that he's going to cut, and then gets on with the procedure, and then there are some stitches put through the eye. You then go away, and the aftercare seems to be the same advice as Botox. I haven't had Botox for a year and a half, 2 years, something like that, but it seems to be the same advice: is no bending down, no going to the gym, you know, nothing that you're going to exert yourself with, basically. Regarding bruising, he said it varies from patient to patient. It could look like I've gone 10 rounds with Mike Tyson, or I could have very minimal bruising. Knowing me, I'll have a lot of bruising, and so I would probably expect to bruise, you know, and it will be all the way around. I would expect to bruise badly. So you have those stitches for about a week. You go in a week later, and they just take the stitches out in one go. Which sounds pretty horrific, but he said most people don't notice it. So I was delighted that he did it under local anaesthetic, but I did ask, you know, about the comment that I had. It was about 3 years ago, I went for the consultation with Transform, and she had said to me she will only do it under general anaesthetic, so there is no movement of the eye, no involuntary movement. But he said he's been doing this for years, and there has never been a problem with that. So yeah, I don't have any concerns with that at all. I asked him about when I would be able to put makeup on again after the procedure, and he reckoned about 2 weeks. So that's a lot quicker than I thought. Scarring is minimal, but it's going to sit, you know, obviously there will be a little bit of a crease. It's not going to leave me with a completely, you know, with no crease at all. So the scar will sit in the natural crease of my eye, and barring any problems, should be unnoticeable. What he said, and I've been told this many times actually with different things, even with contact lenses, I've been told this, it's down to, the results is down to patient expectation. And so if I was expecting to come out with no crease at all and with perfect eyes, I would be disappointed. But also it depends how bad your eyes are. And he said I've got a moderate level of hooding, so he reckons he can take about 8 to 10 millimeters of skin away, which is quite a lot. I mean, that's a centimetre, isn't it? That's an inch. I was going to say bloody hell, that's a lot. Yeah, it's about that much. It's about that much between my two fingernails there. That's quite a lot, I would say, and I'm quite pleased with that. I feel like I will be quite pleased with that, because it will just show a little bit more of my mobile lid. The other thing about patient expectations is that the passage of time will continue on, and I've heard people say to me, oh, you know, my sister, my friend, etc. had blepharoplasty, but in a couple of years their eyes were hooded again. But that may well happen. That could happen to anybody, because you don't know how fast you'll age. And if you age quickly, that could easily happen in a year, because you're constantly aging and losing collagen and elastin, etc. So I'm aware of that. I asked him if there was any benefit to thinking about doing it via the brow. So I don't know whether they cut here or whether they cut in the scalp, and it's not a facelift, but there is a brow lift that you can have. And I thought, I wonder if it would be better to do that, because I don't mind the surprised look. I know a lot of time I had Botox, and most of the time I got good comments from you guys, but occasionally somebody would say, oh, you look too surprised this time, you know, because sometimes I'd ask to have, you know, a little bit to raise my eyebrows, because that was the whole point. It lifted up and sort of stretched out this skin and stopped it from wrinkling. But my husband doesn't like, if I show him like that, he doesn't like it at all. He's like, no, you look surprised, I don't like it. But I asked the surgeon just to make sure that that wasn't a preferable option, and he said no. He came over and looked at my eyebrows and said that my eyebrows are at a youthful height, I guess. They're not, my eyebrows are not drooping, it's just that the skin here is loose. So definitely the best option for me is to remove the loose skin. I'm really lucky that I don't have horizontal lines. I've no idea why I don't have horizontal lines. It's the kind of natural process of aging that I don't have. You know, I've got crow's feet, I've got the nose to mouth lines, I just don't have the horizontal lines, and I've no idea why. So he did a few tests with me while we were there. I have no idea what the tests were. He like pressed on my eyeball, I'm assuming to see if there was any pain, something like that. He pressed underneath my eyes, asked me to follow his finger, you know, things like that, just to check, I guess, that my eyesight was okay. I told him that I do have dry eyes, But what he said, this was very interesting, was the fact that I wear contact lenses would suggest that my eyes are not that dry. And actually I haven't had problems with my eyes watering as much throughout this summer as I did the last few summers. So I've no idea why. I've no idea why at all, but things are much better in that department. So I don't think that that will be a problem. But he said if you do have dry eyes, your eyes may be, that may be a problem afterwards. And then of course comes the health question that I always dread. There's two questions I dread. The first question I dread is, are you healthy? And the second is, are you on any medication? So I said to him, I don't know whether you'd say I'm healthy or not. I said, not really. I said, I have Ehlers-Danlos type 3. And I said, there are a lot of things that I have as a result of that. And he went, when I said that. And I was like, oh no, please don't tell me you can't do it because of that. And he went, okay, that makes things a bit tricky. And he said, in terms of healing, it might mean that you take longer to heal, which, you know, I'm kind of aware of that. And I was like, okay, but does it still mean you will do the procedure? And he said, yes, absolutely. He said, I don't mind still doing the procedure. However, what it means is that he might do this blepharoplasty and my results might be amazing. And a month later, it might all loosen up again, because that's what, you know, joint hypermobility is not just joint hypermobility, it's skin laxity and connective tissue disorder. Everything is loose, everything relaxes too much. So what might happen is I have the surgery and 1 month later, everything loosens off again, my skin loosens and it looks exactly the same. So I have to sign an extra consent form to say that I'm aware of the EDS effect. So he sort of noted that on the consent form, and yeah, I just have to sign to say that I won't complain if in a month's time my eyes look the same as they did before. So I mean, it's a big risk because you're spending thousands of pounds and I may end up looking exactly the same, but it is what it is, and I'm going to take the chance because that is the nature of Ehlers-Danlos. Everything is loose. It's not just joints, it's skin laxity. You know, my heart valve is loose, the bladder tissue is loose, everything in me is loose. And so I'm still going to continue on. I mean, he was very nice actually. He said, because I listed all my medication, I went, do you want the whole list now? I'm actually working on having a card that I can hand to people, because when I get that question, I'm like, oh my God, I do have it all in my phone, but you know, that I can hand with, here's the medication and here's why. Especially when they asked me for spellings of it. But he said to me, oh, considering all of these things that you have, he said, you look very healthy. And I thought, well, I think that's a good thing. Most of the time it's a good thing. It's not always a good thing, because then people are like, I think, don't believe that you're in pain, you know. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. Basically, he's willing to take the risk if I am. He hasn't done blepharoplasty on anybody with Ehlers-Danlos, but he has worked in other areas, like on reconstructive surgery with Ehlers-Danlos before, so he's aware of, you know, other issues. Like there's issues with the anaesthetic, I have to use a specific type of anaesthetic, and try and use a non-adrenaline one, that kind of thing. So I think that's everything that we discussed in the consultation. I was there about 40 minutes, something like that. I was disappointed to find out that he didn't have an appointment immediately. I don't know why I assumed that he would be able to fit me in the next couple of months. I thought that maybe a month or so, but no, he doesn't have any appointments until February, because he works, you know, in the NHS and then some of his time in the private hospital. But he said they are trying to negotiate more time, so there may be some time coming up. But now what I have to do is wait for his secretary to get in touch with me to let me know of the next available appointment, which is likely to be in February. But like I said, every cloud has a silver lining, and the silver lining to that, there's a couple of silver linings. Firstly, it means that it gives us longer to save the money. Secondly, it means that we can go on holiday in November, because I was maybe going to have to ask Kev to take time off work to take me, and, you know, so that he could look after Watson, etc., while I was recovering. And what was the third one? Oh, the third one was that I can continue to use the tretinoin around my eyes, and and continue on to see if that makes any difference. And by February, that will be 6 months that I'll have been using it for. So I think that's pretty good. Oh, one other thing to tell you, I don't wake up unable to see. You don't wake up with it like pads on your eyes where you can't see, because that was a big deal breaker for me. I just can't imagine that at all. And he said, no, not at all. You'll be able to see, but you know, somebody will need to drive you home because you might be a bit blurry, but other than that, no problem whatsoever. By the way, I told him I was using tretinoin and he was like, yeah, he didn't seem to think that that would make any difference at all to my eye area. So that was interesting to see. So I think that that's everything that we talked about. Like I said, I'm going to diary this whole process. So there's no point me doing a video just to tell you when I'm having the surgery, but I will mention it in our video as soon as I know. I'll probably mention it in one of my tretinoin updates, which I'll try and do either monthly or 6 weekly, and I'll tell you then once I've got an actual booked date. And then, you know, when I'm going in, I will film that as soon as I've had the surgery. I will film what it looks like and tell you how it was, etc. So I hope that this has been useful to you. Let me know if you've already been through this and especially if you've been through it in this way, if you've had it done under local anaesthetic, tell me how it was for you and any issues and any advices you have for me, especially. And even more so if you have Ehlers-Danlos and have been through this, because of course I'll be disappointed if it does all spring back, but you know, you've got to be in it to win it, haven't you? You've got to give it a try. So that's everything. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'll speak to you again soon.